She whispered her betrayal right in front of me, thinking I couldn't hear a word. And maybe 2 weeks ago, she'd have been right. But the thing about trauma is, sometimes your body starts healing before your heart does. And when the sound came back, a little at a time, like cautious footsteps, I kept that miracle to myself. Let her think I was still deaf. Let her confess everything with her guard down. I'm Ethan Callahan, 35, factory tech in Western Pennsylvania. Spent the last 12 years fixing industrial machines that hiss and groan louder than most marriages. I'm the quiet type. Work hard, don't complain, always get the job done. I wasn't always like this. I used to dream about starting a custom bike shop. Something small, gritty. But life has a way of sanding down your edges, doesn't it? Megan, my wife, she's 33. HR manager for a medical supply company. Picture-perfect posture, tight black skirts. One of those women who always has lip balm in every bag. The kind of woman who knows which wine goes with which fish. People say we look like a solid couple. She's lucky to have you, they say. But at home, it started to feel like I was just furniture she moved around. We never had kids. She always said the timing wasn't right. Too much going on with work, with savings, with vacations we never actually took. Still, I loved her. More than I admitted, even to myself. Then the explosion happened. Compressor tank blew at the plant. Loudest thing I'd ever heard. Then, nothing. Ears ringing, pressure like being deep underwater. They said I was lucky to be alive. But everything sounded like it was coming from the bottom of a lake. Doctors confirmed it. Sensory neural hearing loss. 70% gone in my left ear, 40 in my right. Could it come back? Maybe. Could it be permanent? Also maybe. Welcome to the Medical Mystery Club. Megan was supportive at first. Brought me tea. Sat next to me with that polite half-smile she uses at dinner parties. But something shifted fast. She stopped talking to me like I was a person and started talking like I was a problem. That night, the night everything cracked, I was on the couch with my phone, watching captions. Megan was in the kitchen, on the phone with someone. Didn't see me. I heard her voice first. Faint, but real. Like the world decided to turn itself up for just one cruel moment. He can't even hear me. What's the point of pretending anymore? I didn't breathe. Her voice came through the kitchen like a scalpel. Chase. I don't know. He just stares at the wall. Doesn't ask where I go. Doesn't touch me. It's like he's not even a man anymore. My blood went ice cold. Chase. Who the hell is Chase? No, he doesn't suspect a thing. I could scream his name and he wouldn't flinch. She laughed. God. She actually laughed. I stayed still. Let her have her illusion. Let her feel safe. Let her speak. Because in that moment, something inside me clicked. Something that hadn't clicked in weeks. I wasn't going to beg for her attention. I was going to document her downfall. The next morning, I downloaded a live captioning app. One that uses AI to transcribe conversation in real time. I paired it with a tiny Bluetooth earpiece and hid the buds under my collar. She still thought I couldn't hear a damn thing. That gave me the one thing she didn't know I had. Power. She came downstairs with her phone in one hand, mug in the other. You sleep okay? She asked slowly, loud like I was 90 years old. I nodded. Played the part. Blank expression. Deaf man shuffle. Gonna head to work soon, she said. Long meetings today. You good if I grab dinner with coworkers? I nodded again. Cool, she said, barely waiting for an answer. She texted someone immediately after. Her phone buzzed. I caught a preview flash across the screen. Chase, can't stop thinking about last night. My jaw clenched so tight I thought I'd crack a molar. But I didn't move. Didn't flinch. I walked outside, sat in the garage, and started testing the app. It was clean. Accurate. Picked up even low-volume whispers from the next room. And that's when I realized. I didn't have to guess. I didn't have to hope. I just had to listen. That night, Megan left without a word. Perfume cloud in the hallway. No gym bag. No explanation. I watched her car disappear. Then I picked up my phone. Opened the app. Hit record. The first time she said it, I thought I misread the caption. He's not a real man anymore. But then Chase laughed. And I knew it wasn't a glitch. I spent the whole day pretending. Pretending I couldn't hear. Pretending I didn't notice her dress was too tight. Her hair too styled for lunch with coworkers. Pretending her phone wasn't lighting up like Times Square. But when she left, hair still damp from the curling iron, phone clutched like a lifeline. I slid my phone out and launched the captioning app. Live mode. Microphone sensitivity set to max. She'd forgotten to turn off the Bluetooth speaker in the bedroom. Rookie mistake. And just like that, her voice came through. Megan. No, he didn't say a word. Just stared at me like always. It's creepy, honestly. Chase. You sure he's not catching on? Megan. Babe. He wears an app to order food. He's deaf. Trust me. It's like cheating on a houseplant. Chase. Laughs harsh. Megan. He used to be different. Strong. Hands covered in grease. Now he just sits there with sad puppy eyes. She was in the kitchen, probably drinking wine. I could hear the clink of glass. Megan. I feel like I'm babysitting a broken appliance. The sex? Forget it. I can't even look at him like that anymore. Chase. Guess that means I get all the fun. Megan. Damn right you do. You're the only thing keeping me sane. I sat on the garage floor, the cold concrete biting through my jeans. My hand was shaking. I didn't realize it until I dropped the wrench I'd been using to keep up the "I'm working on stuff" lie. That wasn't just cheating. That was character assassination. That was her standing next to my wounds and calling me weak for bleeding. I could have walked inside. Could have screamed. Thrown her phone against the wall. But no. Anger is loud. Revenge is patient. I spent the next few days gathering intel. Every time she left, I recorded. Every time she came home late, I noted the timestamp. I set up voice memos with voice to text. Created a hidden folder on my Google Drive labeled Work Quotes. She'd never check there. One night, I caught a full 10-minute call between them, the caption feed scrolling like a live transcript. Megan, if I knew he'd end up like this, I wouldn't have married him. Chase, you're basically a free woman already. Megan, once the disability checks stop, I'll really be free. Chase, you're evil. Megan, you love it. That one burned. A week later, she was getting dressed for some client dinner. Red dress, heels, lipstick she only wore when she wanted to be remembered. I sat at the kitchen table with a crossword puzzle. She walked past me like I was invisible. You good on leftovers? She asked, grabbing her purse. Yeah, I said quietly. She didn't even look back. Don't wait up. Once the door clicked shut, I grabbed her iPad from the coffee table. She never signed out of anything. Password was still HR Queen 1. Her messages with Chase were all there. Flirty. Disgusting. One photo of her in our bedroom. Same red dress, slightly unzipped. Captioned, dinner's gonna run late. Be good face blowing a kiss. I forwarded it all to myself. Then backed up the voice captions. The text logs. Even the calendar invites she sent him. She wasn't just cheating. She was scheduling it. That night, I sat in bed, reading every filthy, humiliating thing she'd said about me. Emotionally neutered. A shell of a man. Only thing he's good for now is holding the remote. She thought she was safe behind my silence. She thought my pain made me harmless. She was wrong. The next day, I watched her leave for work like nothing had changed. Then I checked my email and saw the one that would change everything. Subject, Corporate Appreciation Dinner, RSVP confirmation. From, Events at Mercury Medical HR. Calm. Body. Thank you for confirming your attendance. You are scheduled for a 3-minute gratitude spotlight. Please check in with our AV team upon arrival. 3-minute spotlight. Microphone included. She never told me about it. Never invited me. Never mentioned that Chase would be there too, receiving an Outstanding Sales Collaboration Award. But here's the part she'll regret forever. I was invited, and I just got permission to speak. I wasn't looking for proof that night. But her phone was right there, unlocked, buzzing, and begging to betray her. We were sitting on the couch, a rare Friday night in. She was watching some mindless Netflix show with her legs curled up, scrolling on her phone like I wasn't even there. I was pretending to read a book, pretending to be deaf, pretending not to notice how often her lips curled into a secret smile. Halfway through the episode, she stood up. Wine? She asked. I nodded. She left her phone on the cushion beside me, screen still lit. It buzzed once. Then again. I glanced. Chase Miller. Tell your husband you're working late Monday. My place, 8 p.m. Bring that dress. She didn't have a passcode on it. Probably figured I couldn't hear, couldn't snoop, couldn't care. But her mistake wasn't the messages. It was the photo. One swipe brought up the gallery. And there it was, taken just a few hours earlier. Megan. In our bedroom. Same angle I'd used a dozen times to take sweet little selfies when we still loved each other. Only now she was posing for him. Bite of shoulder exposed. That smile she used to save for me. And behind her? Our bed. My bed. I stared at the picture for a long time. Not because I was surprised, I wasn't, but because she'd brought her betrayal into our home, into the one place I still felt safe. And she did it boldly, like I was too broken to notice. She came back with a glass of wine and flopped down next to me. "You want anything?" she asked, not looking up. I shook my head. "Suit yourself." I placed her phone gently back on the cushion. Same position, same angle. She never noticed it had moved. And I realized something. She didn't just think I couldn't hear. She thought I didn't matter. Later that night, she fell asleep on the couch, one arm draped over her stomach, wine glass half full, TV still playing. I sat across the room and just watched her. The way her face softened in sleep. The way she used to look when we curled up together after Sunday breakfast. And for a moment, I missed her. Not the woman on the screen. The one who used to touch my face like it was something sacred. But that version of her was dead. And this one was still alive, but only just. Because I was going to end her story carefully, quietly, with her own words. I went back through the phone again. This time, I forwarded everything. Every saved message thread. Every late-night selfie. Every pathetic little compliment she typed out like it was gospel. "Chase, your husband doesn't deserve you." "Megan, he's basically invisible now." "Chase, the ghost." "Megan, yeah, my deaf little ghost. Good for insurance and leftovers." Insurance. That one stung. I'd almost died. And now my survival was just a financial asset in her affair calculus. I backed up the photos to my flash drive, encrypted the folders, uploaded to cloud, started labeling each entry with dates and keywords. Bedroom_pic_Thursday. Mockery__kitchen_audio. Def_joke_text_log. I was building a case. But more than that, I was building a moment, a stage, a spotlight, and I already knew where it would be. The next morning, I handed her coffee while she stood in front of the mirror fixing her hair. "Thanks, babe," she said with that casual sweetness she used when she wanted me to feel small. "You okay? You've been quiet lately." I wanted to laugh. "Quiet? You've made me silent, Megan. But soon, I'll be louder than you ever imagined." I just smiled, nodded, sipped my own coffee, black, bitter, strong, like the man I used to be. They say if you want the truth, you have to listen carefully. But I didn't need to listen. I just needed to hit record. Saturday night. She was heading out for girls' night. That's what she called it. Said she was meeting coworkers at a wine bar downtown. That I wouldn't know the place. That I wouldn't hear her if she came home late. She said all of this, standing in front of me, lips moving slow, overpronouncing every syllable like I was a child. "Don't wait up," she said, tapping her phone. That phone again, always in her hand like it was a part of her. After she left, I waited. 10 minutes. Then 20, just to be sure. Then I walked to the bookshelf, pulled out the small audio recorder I'd hidden behind a row of old DIY home repair books. Voice activated. 10-hour battery. Tiny. I'd planted it 3 days earlier. Not in the bedroom, not in the kitchen, but in the hallway, right outside our guest room. Because that's where she made her late-night calls. That's where her voice would echo in the dark, just loud enough for a recorder. But not a ghost. When I played it back, I expected more of the same. I didn't expect him to be there. Megan's voice, laughing shrill. "Ivy's asleep." Male voice. "It's Ethan, not Ivy." Megan, same thing. "He barely moves." "Chase, this house gives me the creeps." Megan, "It's the silence. You'll get used to it." I felt my stomach flip. He wasn't just hearing about our home. He was in it. While I sat in the garage pretending to tinker with tools. While I trusted her to be honest. While I watched our wedding video last week like an idiot. "Chase, you sure this is okay?" Megan, "Ethan doesn't know anything. He's basically a shadow now." Chase, "Feels risky." Megan, "That's what makes it hot." Silence for a beat. Then movement. A rustle. Fabric. A breath caught in her throat. Then laughter. Low and cruel. Megan, "He'll never know. He can't even hear us." I stopped the recording. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. Not because I was surprised, but because part of me, a small, shameful part, still hoped I was wrong. That part was now dead. And in its place? Strategy. I didn't yell. Didn't cry. I took the audio. Clipped it. Saved it. Backed it up. Then I started writing something else. A speech. Just a draft. 3 minutes long. Titled Gratitude and Growth. I knew exactly where it would be delivered. And I knew exactly whose voices would follow mine. When she came home, I was already in bed. She smelled like cheap cologne and cheap wine. You awake? She whispered. I didn't answer. Good, she muttered, slipping under the covers. She turned her back to me, and I lay there, listening to her breathe, steady, content, unaware, recording everything with perfect clarity. I kept her betrayal in my pocket. All of it. In one small flash drive. One that could burn everything down with a single click. There's something poetic about storing someone's secrets in something so small. Tiny, quiet, unassuming. Like the lies she whispered in the hallway. Like the man she thought I'd become. A shadow, a ghost, a thing too damaged to notice. She had no idea I was building a bomb. I backed everything up to the drive that morning. Photos, audio clips, transcribed messages from the captioning app. Even her emails. I'd guessed her password weeks ago. HR Queen 1. Classic Megan. Professional mask, fragile ego. The folder was named Memories. The subfolders told the story. 01. Bedroom Confessions. 02. Hallway Recordings. 03. Lies told in the kitchen. 04. Chase texts, full thread. 05. Work chat logs. 5 folders. One truth. She'd buried me alive. I was just digging my way back to daylight. I didn't cry while I built it. Didn't shake. Just worked. Like I was rewiring a machine. One I used to trust. One that now needed to be torn apart and reassembled for a single, brutal purpose. I didn't know how I'd use it yet. Only that I would. Then, as if fate was watching, I got the email that turned revenge into a calendar event. From Catherine Willis, Event Coordinator, Mercury Medical. Subject, Corporate Appreciation Dinner, Confirmed List, and RSVP reminders. Body. Hi Ethan. Thank you for confirming your attendance to the upcoming Corporate Appreciation Dinner at the Oakmont Hotel. We're excited to have you join us. You've been granted a 3-minute spotlight to share your journey and gratitude. Please check in with the AV team upon arrival. I stared at the screen. I hadn't RSVP'd, which meant someone else had, which meant Megan had RSVP'd for me, probably to look good, or make me her little prop, the recovering husband, the sad mute with a smile. He's so brave, she'd probably say to her coworkers. He's come so far, she'd add with a pat on my arm. Then she'd go sit next to Chase, heels clicking, secrets intact. Except now, I had a stage, a microphone, and the voice she never expected to return. That night, I made a copy of the flash drive, labeled one personal, the other presentation. I hid them in different places, one under the floorboard in the garage, the other in the inner pocket of the suit she made me buy for family occasions. You'll wear it someday, she'd said. She had no idea how soon that would be. She came home late again, said the girls wanted dessert. Her lips were smudged, her breath sweet. Not wine this time. Mint. Cheap gum. You still up? She asked. Just watching old videos, I said quietly, not looking up. Of us. Of something, I muttered. She didn't press. Just went to bed. Slid under the sheets. Rolled away from me. I sat there for an hour, watching our wedding footage. She looked so happy back then. So real. And I hated her for it. Because now I knew that smile could lie. She told me not to come. Said it would be boring. But I'd already circled the date, in red ink, with shaking hands. The first thing she said was, "You probably shouldn't come. It's just a work thing. Corporate fluff. You'd hate it." She was standing by the sink again, rinsing her wine glass. The one she only used when she wanted to feel classy. The one we got as a wedding gift from someone we no longer talk to. "What's it for?" I asked, playing dumb. She shrugged. HR dinner. Awards. Speeches. That kind of thing. She didn't know I'd seen the email. Didn't know I was already fitted for the performance of a lifetime. "You sure?" I asked. "Might be nice to get out of the house." She laughed. God, that laugh again. "Babe, it's a lot of standing around. Loud music. You wouldn't hear anything. It'll just exhaust you." I nodded slowly. "Yeah, you're probably right." Then added, "Still, I think I'll come. Just to support you." Her smile tightened. "Barely. If you really want to." She poured more wine. Didn't notice me watching her reflection in the window. The flicker of panic. The twitch in her eye. She was calculating. Wondering if Chase would be there. Wondering how to juggle the two men in her life without them colliding under chandeliers and company logos. The next day, I replied to the RSVP email. Yes, one guest. Requesting microphone access during the spotlight. Prepared speech attached. The speech? It was innocent. 3 paragraphs of thank you for the support and grateful for my wife. A cover, because the real speech was stored on the presentation flash drive, and it didn't thank anyone. Megan tried again that week. You know, I think it's going to be really crowded and dark. Might be hard for you to follow along. I just smiled. I've been practicing reading lips. She blinked. Oh, that's great, babe. I watched her leave the room and immediately check her phone. Probably texting Chase. Plan B. Too late. The day before the dinner, she came home with a new dress. Midnight blue. Cut low. Tight. I hadn't seen her wear something like that in months. What do you think? She asked, twirling once. You look amazing, I said, and I meant it. Don't expect me to dance, she joked, tossing the bag aside. My feet are going to hate me. She still didn't know. Didn't know I'd already spoken to the AV team. Didn't know the voice clips were cued. Didn't know the mic would be live. Didn't know the night she thought would celebrate her, would dismantle her. That night, we sat on opposite sides of the couch. She scrolled through her phone. I scrolled through her messages. Chase, so you're bringing the husband? Megan, had to. Gonna keep him quiet and distracted. Chase, he still thinks it's just HR stuff. Megan, he's barely aware. I'll handle it. Chase, you always do. Looking forward to seeing you. Megan, front slit or backless? Chase, both. Megan, you're trouble. Chase, you love it. Megan, I do. I copied the entire thread into the speech document. Formatted, bolded, labeled, added timestamps, added her name at the top of each line. Then I saved it as HR_dinner_final_speech. Docs. She stood in front of the mirror, spinning like a teenager. That dress wasn't for me. And her smile sure as hell wasn't, either. The night of the dinner, she came out of the bedroom in that midnight blue dress, satin, slit high on the thigh, the kind of outfit that says look at me, but don't touch. I looked. I touched nothing. Well? She asked, doing a little twirl. I paused. Let my eyes trace every inch. Not with lust. With calculation. You look beautiful, I said. And she did. But it wasn't for me. The heels. The hair. The perfume I hadn't smelled in months. All of it was the version of Megan she used to be before me. Or maybe without me. I knew who it was for. And the captions confirmed it seconds later. My phone buzzed in my pocket as the app transcribed a whisper she muttered while glancing down at her phone. Let's hope your wife behaves herself tonight, the app read. Speaker, Chase. She'd left her Bluetooth on. Their phone call came through like it always did. I smiled at her. Nervous? I asked. Why would I be nervous? She replied too quickly. Big night. People staring. Fancy speeches. You're the one speaking, not me, she said. She adjusted her necklace, the one I bought her 2 anniversaries ago. Then she did something strange. She kissed my cheek. Not cold. Not fake. Almost tender. Like she was trying to soften the blow of something she knew she couldn't stop. We drove in silence. She scrolled her phone, smiling at something on the screen. Probably texting him. I stared at the road, thinking about the speech. The real one. The one I'd edited that morning with voice clips, caption logs, photo slides. 3 minutes on stage. It wouldn't take much. Just one quote. One voice recording. One photo. That's all it would take to undo her completely. At the hotel, she disappeared almost immediately, under the pretense of checking in with coworkers. I knew what that meant. She needed to find Chase. To plot whatever version of the night they thought they still controlled. I walked around the ballroom slowly, like a man who was half lost. A few of her coworkers nodded at me awkwardly. One gave a little wave. They didn't know I could hear them. That's Megan's husband, right? Yeah. Poor guy? Heard he lost most of his hearing. She said he's basically nonverbal now. He seems sweet. She's not sweet to him. The last voice lingered. I smiled to myself. The room was on fire. They just hadn't smelled the smoke yet. Later, as we took our seats near the front, Megan leaned in close. Thanks for coming, she whispered. Of course, I replied. You doing okay? Just soaking it all in. Good, she said, rubbing my leg under the table. That's when I saw him. Chase, walking in from the bar. Tall, smug, clean-shaven with a crooked tie and the confidence of a man who thinks no one's watching. He saw her. They locked eyes for a half-second too long. Smiled. Then he winked. I tilted my head slightly. My phone buzzed again. Captions popping up on screen. Chase, quiet whisper. You still sure he doesn't know? Megan, barely audible, he's deaf. Chase. Chase. Okay then. Let's make tonight worth it. I sat back in my chair, folded my hands. 3 minutes. That's all I needed. And the mic was almost mine. She thought she was whispering secrets, but I'd already wired the whole night for sound. The ballroom dimmed as the MC took the stage. People clapped, laughed politely. Waitstaff glided between tables, setting down plated salmon and risotto like they were serving royalty. Megan leaned over, lips brushing my ear. You ready for your big moment? She said, slow and exaggerated, like I wouldn't catch it otherwise. I think so, I replied calmly. She smiled, but her eyes flicked away, scanning the room for him. I followed her gaze. Chase stood near the bar, one hand in his pocket, the other nursing a whiskey. He wasn't watching the stage. He was watching her. She crossed her legs slowly, smoothed her dress. That wasn't for me. That was the mating ritual of the guilty. The AV team waved me over just before the gratitude spotlights began. I showed them my USB, the one labeled HR_dinner_final_speech. They plugged it in. Checked the file. Tested the mic. You want to go last in the lineup? The tech asked. Definitely, I said. Last always lands hardest. Back at the table, Megan had her phone tucked under her napkin, texting furiously. I flipped open the live captioning app on my phone. I'd paired it to the mic system via Bluetooth. Any whisper within 10 feet would be recorded and transcribed. And oh, did she whisper? Megan, to Chase, across the room, 10 more minutes. After that, bathroom hallway. Chase, still down to make it public tonight. Megan, I'm done pretending. Chase, then let's do it. My chest tightened. Not from pain. Not anymore. From focus. Because now it was all there. She leaned toward me as the applause started for some sales guy getting an award for cross-department synergy. You okay? She whispered. A little nervous, I said. Just smile and say thank you, she said, tapping my hand gently. Keep it short. Simple. Short. Simple. Like her attention span for loyalty. Then the MC called my name. Ethan Callahan, an employee's family member with a few words to share on recovery, resilience, and gratitude. Applause. Lights. I stood, walked to the stage. Megan clapped slowly, eyes gleaming with fake pride. Chase sipped his drink, barely clapping at all. The mic was warm in my hand. The crowd quieted. I looked at them. All of them. Dozens of faces waiting for some feel-good story about surviving trauma. About learning to love life again. And they were going to get that. Just not in the way they expected. I started in sign language. Slow, graceful gestures. The room watched in respectful silence. Megan beamed from her seat. She thought this was the performance. This sad husband segment. I finished the first paragraph silently. Then I looked up and spoke. I heard every single word you said, Megan. Gasps. One dropped fork. She froze, hand mid-clap. Chase's smirk evaporated. You thought I couldn't hear. That I was broken. But I was listening the whole time. And not just with my ears. I heard every single word you said, Megan. And just like that, the room stopped breathing. The silence hit like a punch. Forks frozen midair. Wine glasses halfway to lips. Somewhere near the back, someone whispered, Holy sh**T. Megan stared up at me, eyes wide, smile fading like a light being dimmed. Chase leaned forward in his seat, brow furrowed, lips parting, realizing, far too late, that this wasn't just a speech. This was war. I let the silence stretch. Let it get uncomfortable. Let them feel the tension I'd lived with for months. Then I clicked the next slide on the presentation remote. The screen behind me flickered. Slide 1, a screenshot of a text. Megan, he's not even a man anymore. Just a sad little ghost that pays the bills. People gasped. I scanned the crowd. HR reps, marketing teams, the regional director. Everyone watching like it was a car crash. I didn't blink. She said that on September 14th. I continued, voice steady. 2 weeks after I got out of the hospital. When I still couldn't hear well enough to understand full sentences. But she didn't know I had captions. She didn't know I was documenting everything. Megan stood up slowly. Ethan, she called out, trying to keep her voice even. What are you doing? I smiled. Telling the truth. Something you and Chase seem allergic to. Gasps again. Chase stood up now, trying to look composed, but the red creeping up his neck gave him away. I don't know what this is, man, but... Sit down, I said. Your part comes next. The next slide. A voice recording waveform. I hit play. Megan's voice. He'll never know. He can't even hear us. Laughter. Chase. You're evil. Megan. You love it. The room exploded. A few people clapped. Not out of joy, out of shock. Out of disbelief. Phones came out. People started recording. Megan's mouth opened, then closed. She looked around like she was drowning. Ethan, please, she said. Let's talk about this privately. You made it public, I said. Now I'm just returning the favor. I pulled the last flash drive from my jacket pocket and held it up. This has every text, photo, voice memo, and recording. All of it. Compiled. Dated. Backed up. And it's going to HR in 5 minutes. Megan's knees buckled slightly. Chase whispered something under his breath and started inching toward the exit. One more thing. I said into the mic, Chase Miller. He stopped. The man currently up for a promotion was on company property during multiple of these recorded conversations, using company devices, while having an affair with his coworker, who happens to be his supervisor. So if anyone in HR wants to talk legal exposure, start with them. The room erupted. I looked back at Megan one last time. She was crying now, hands over her mouth. But I wasn't moved, because I wasn't here for tears. I was here for truth. And justice, well, that was just the bonus. Revenge isn't just about truth. It's about timing. And mine landed between the salmon course and corporate dessert. People weren't eating anymore. The room had shifted from polite banquet to live theater. Mouths hung open. Phones captured footage. The regional director stood near the back, arms crossed, whispering furiously to a junior assistant, probably wondering how fast they could get legal on the line. Meanwhile, Megan just sat, mascara streaked, hands shaking, face frozen in the kind of humiliation you don't recover from in a single fiscal quarter. And Chase? He was inching toward the exit like someone trying to sneak out of a fire drill. Calm on the outside, chaos bubbling underneath. I adjusted the mic. Before I wrap, I said, I want to thank a few people. A few people actually laughed, nervous, confused, but still in it. First, to the AV team, for trusting a deaf man with your equipment. Second, to Mercury Medical for confirming my attendance, which allowed me to prepare this little surprise. Third, to Chase for making it so easy. You documented your affair better than most wedding photographers. People were loving it. Not because it was funny, because it was real. It was raw. It was the kind of confession no one ever hears outside of courtrooms or reality shows. I stepped down from the stage. The applause. Oh, it came. Not loud, but deliberate. Like people clapping at the end of a funeral. Like they knew something had just ended. I made my way back to our table. Megan stood up, wobbling slightly in her heels. We need to talk, she whispered. We've done enough of that, I replied. Ethan, please. Don't. Not here. Not now. She looked around, like the crowd might come to her rescue. They didn't. They were too busy watching Chase try to disappear into the hallway. I turned back to the AV booth and gave them the nod. They unplugged the USB, handed it back. You want us to delete the copy? The tech asked. No, I said. Keep it. Frame it. Whatever you want. Outside in the hallway, I spotted Chase, pacing, phone pressed to his ear. No, it's bad, he was saying. Like, HR disaster bad. I don't know if we can spin this. He turned and saw me. Stopped cold. Hey man, he started. This doesn't have to get worse. We can. Leaving so soon, Chase? I asked, calm as glass. Some of us haven't had dessert yet. He opened his mouth, probably to lie. But there were no words left. Just a man with a melting career and a woman too ashamed to look anyone in the eye. As I walked back into the ballroom, Megan followed me. Ethan, please. Just hear me out. I've heard enough, I said. In the kitchen. In the hallway. In our bedroom. Hell, I probably heard more than you ever meant me to. She reached for my arm. I stepped back. I was going to end it, she said. No, I said. You were just going to get better at hiding it. I sat down and opened the folder with divorce papers I'd tucked under the table. Dropped them on her plate like the main course. You're being dramatic, she hissed. No, I said. You were. I'm just being deliberate. The room had gone quiet, but not empty. There's a kind of silence that feels louder than shouting, and this one was deafening. Megan just sat there, eyes glassy, hands trembling next to the untouched divorce papers. The server came by to refill our water. He paused, looked at the tension on our table like it was a spilled glass no one wanted to clean, then walked away. No one was speaking anymore. Not around us. Not across the room. The HR manager was talking to someone in legal. I could hear them whispering, urgently, their heads bowed like this was a murder scene instead of a dinner. Megan finally broke the silence. "You humiliated me," she said, barely above a whisper. I nodded slowly. "You lied to me. In our home. In our bed. In our marriage. And you thought you'd get away with it, because I couldn't hear." She swallowed hard. "It was a mistake." "No," I said. "It was a choice." She looked down at the papers again. "This is what you want?" she asked. "It's what I need," I replied. "You already decided what you wanted." She stared at me like she didn't recognize the man in front of her. But that's the thing about betrayal. It turns the familiar into a stranger. And I was a stranger now. Not her husband. Not her victim. Just the man who exposed her. Across the room, Chase was gone. Slipped out during the last round of applause. But his name was still echoing through conversations. His face still etched in every raised eyebrow, every whispered, "Did you hear?" Megan had no escape. She was trapped in her perfect dress, in her perfect disaster. And I wasn't done. I stood again, just once more. Walked back to the AV booth. "One last clip," I told them. "You sure?" the tech asked. "Positive." They hit play. Megan's voice filled the ballroom. "He's just there, breathing, existing, like background noise." Then laughter. Hers. Chase's. Then, "Megan, I don't even feel guilty. Isn't that messed up?" Silence. Every eye turned toward her. She tried to hold her posture. Tried to be the Megan everyone knew, confident, composed. But there's no hiding when your voice outs you. No saving grace when the words are your own. I stepped up to the mic one last time. "You thought silence made me weak. That not hearing meant not knowing. But I heard everything." I turned to face her directly. And now, so has everyone else. I didn't need to rewrite her lies. I just repeated them, word for word, voice for voice, and let the crowd decide who she really was. There's something surreal about watching someone unravel in a room full of people who used to admire them. Megan sat motionless, lips parted, like the sound of her own voice had stunned her. The lines still echoed from the speakers. "I don't even feel guilty." People weren't even pretending to eat anymore. The staff had stopped clearing plates. Phones were out, recording, texting, capturing what was now the most unforgettable HR dinner in company history. I stepped back to the mic, holding the final flash drive between my fingers. "One last thing," I said. "If anyone's still wondering if this is all real, here's a little duet between Megan and Chase." I plugged the drive in, clicked the file labeled bedroom_voice_memo_9. 7:25. Wave. Her voice, soft but sharp, filled the ballroom. Megan, laughing, "He's not a man anymore. He's furniture." Chase, "At least the couch doesn't ask questions." Megan, "Exactly. I say I'm going to spin class, and he just nods like a well-trained pet." More laughter. Then the line that had haunted me, that had carved a scar I would never fully heal. "Megan, you're not a man anymore." It played out loud, clear, undeniable. Her voice, not mine. I looked at her. She wasn't crying anymore. She was frozen. A statue of shame. "That's the voice of the woman I married," I said calmly. "And the voice of the man she replaced me with. So if anyone here wants to judge me for how I chose to fight back, I suggest you ask yourself what you'd do if you woke up one day and realized your life was just a stage for someone else's betrayal." I clicked off the mic. The room was dead silent. Then, a slow, scattered clap. Not for me. Not really. For the truth. For the moment. I walked back to the table, collected the papers, the flash drives, my jacket. Megan didn't speak. Didn't move. Just stared at the centerpiece like it might save her. I leaned down. Whispered softly, right in her ear. "I didn't ruin your life, Megan. You did. I just let everyone hear it." The voice recordings ended. But the whispers had just begun. By the time I stepped off the stage for good, the room wasn't quiet anymore. It was buzzing. People weren't looking at Megan the same way. The admiration in their eyes, the respect she wore like a tailored suit, it was gone. Replaced by something colder. Pity, disgust, fascination. All of it sharpened into low murmurs. "Did you hear that voice memo?" He played it at the dinner. She said he wasn't a man anymore. And Chase? With her? In their house. God, what a mess. I knew something was off. Phones buzzed. Messages flew. One woman recorded the whole thing on Instagram Live. Another was already texting someone named Paul, legal. Megan didn't even try to save face. She kept her head down, hands folded in her lap. Her dress, flawless when she arrived, now looked like a costume. A character who had forgotten her lines. Chase. Gone. Vanished the second that last voice clip played. Cowered to the very end. But it didn't matter. Because even without him in the room, the damage was still echoing. I stood near the exit, watching it all play out like the final scene of a play I'd written line by line. Megan finally stood, heels unsteady, and made her way toward the door like she was walking through wet cement. She passed her team on the way. They didn't say a word. Didn't stop her. Didn't console her. One woman stepped back to avoid her shoulder brushing against hers. She was radioactive now. HR poison. Then I heard it. A voice I barely recognized. The regional director. We'll need a meeting first thing Monday. This could trigger legal exposure. Maybe even a lawsuit. We'll loop in compliance, someone else added. And PR. They weren't even hiding it. Megan's downfall was official. Chase's name was being dragged alongside hers like a body in a crime scene report. I stepped outside. Cold air. Silence. But not the kind that hurts, the kind that heals. I took one breath, then another. And that's when I heard it. Footsteps. Fast. Sloppy. Desperate. Ethan, she called. I turned. Megan. Hair wild. Tears smeared across foundation. Please, she said, stepping closer. Don't do this. We can fix this. We? I asked. There's no we left, Megan. I made a mistake. You made a pattern. She reached for my arm again. I stepped back, again. You humiliated me, she said. No, I replied. You humiliated yourself. I just gave you the microphone. From behind her, I heard a voice call out. Mr. Callahan? It was one of the HR assistants. Pale. Shaky. Clutching a folder. Would you be willing to forward that flash drive? Our department will need it for internal review. I smiled. Already sent, I said. Check your inbox. She used to handle HR complaints for a living. Now she was the headline. I didn't sleep that night. Not from nerves. Not from regret. From clarity. The kind that comes after a storm, when the wreckage is quiet and the air smells like freedom. The next morning, I woke early. The silence in the house was different now. Not heavy. Not painful. Just clean. She hadn't come home. I figured she was holed up somewhere. Chase's place, maybe. Or in a hotel room. Panicking with her laptop open. Trying to draft some PR miracle that could make this all disappear. But you can't delete your own voice. You can't backspace betrayal. At 9:03 a.m., I got the call. Mr. Callahan, this is Amanda from Mercury Medical. We received your flash drive. Our legal and compliance departments are reviewing everything. I wanted to say thank you. For what? I asked. For being brave, honest, and strategic. I almost laughed. Strategic. That was the word no one ever used for me. Until now. I hung up. And then I called my lawyer. It's time, I said. You sure? Absolutely. The papers had already been signed by me. Now they just needed her. She showed up later that afternoon. No warning, no call. Just appeared in the driveway with sunglasses and shame. I opened the door without a word. She stepped inside like the house might explode if she moved too fast. I came to talk, she said. I came to end it. I replied, handing her the folder. Her hands trembled as she flipped through the pages. You really did it, she whispered. You really gave them everything. And you gave them the reason to, I said. Don't act surprised. She sat down at the dining table like muscle memory. Like maybe, if she sat there long enough, the years would rewind. Ethan, I don't even know who I am anymore. You're someone who thought cruelty made you powerful. I didn't mean for it to go this far. You just didn't think I'd ever fight back. She signed. Each page felt like a funeral bell. I didn't smile. Didn't gloat. This wasn't victory. This was release. What happens now? She asked. I handed her a second envelope. Inside, a copy of every recording, every photo, every text. You can keep these, I said. Frame them, burn them, send them to your therapist. You're cruel, she muttered. I leaned in slightly. No, Megan. I'm just finally done being yours. As she walked out, the silence behind her was beautiful. No more gaslighting. No more pity. No more pretending I was deaf just to survive another lie. My phone buzzed. A text from the legal team. Chase Miller has been terminated effective immediately. Investigation into Megan Callahan ongoing. Thank you again. I sat back on the couch, closed my eyes, let the quiet fill me like air. I walked out with nothing but a bag and the truth. That was all I needed. The morning after the dinner, the morning after I ended everything, the town felt smaller, lighter. The kind of air you only feel after setting fire to a house you were never going to be safe in. I packed one bag, just the essentials, a change of clothes, the flash drive, the finalized divorce papers, and the USB with her voice, her real voice, still labeled for Megan's boss. The house didn't feel like mine anymore. It hadn't for a long time. There was a time I thought we'd grow old here. Rocking chairs on the porch, laughter in the kitchen. Now the only sound left was the soft click of my suitcase wheels rolling across hardwood floors. I didn't leave a note. She didn't deserve one. I left something better. On the kitchen table, right next to her untouched coffee mug, I placed a manila envelope. Inside, a printed copy of my speech, a list of everyone I'd BCC'd it to, and a short line at the bottom that read, "For every time you made me feel invisible, here's proof I never was." I drove straight to the post office, mailed a copy of the recordings and the entire case file to Mercury Medical's corporate HR, certified. Return receipt requested. By 10 a.m., her world would be officially over. By noon, mine would just be beginning. I took the scenic route out of town, past the factory where I lost part of my hearing, past the bar where she met Chase by accident, past the hotel where she smiled at me while planning her betrayal over Pinot Grigio. The last place I stopped was the overlook above the river. Same place we once took our anniversary photos. Same place she kissed me like I was the only man who'd ever mattered. I stood there a moment, wind in my face, phone in my hand. Opened the last message she'd ever sent me. "Megan, can we talk? Megan, please don't do this. Megan, you still love me. I know you do." I didn't reply. Instead, I opened the voice recorder and said, "My name is Ethan Callahan, and this is the last chapter of the life she tried to bury me in." Then I hit save, tucked the phone into my jacket, and walked away.